Scarlett knows all the jokes about her height, her voice, and even her posterior. Scarlett Johansson, one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She made it to the top, and at one point she was the highest paid actress in Hollywood, pulling in a whopping $35 million for a single role. But her journey? Oh, it was far from easy. At the very start of her career, acting schools turned her down. And when she did manage to land auditions, she'd often hear, "Oh, sorry, Lindsay Lohan was just here." And boom, no room left for Scarlett. When she finally booked her first big Hollywood gig, it was North. Yep, the infamous Bruce Willis disaster from the early 90s. The movie bombed so hard that nobody even remembers it anymore. And if they do, it's usually because of its many Razzie nominations. Imagine Die Hard in a terrible rabbit's costume. That's how bad it was. Scarlett's second major film, Just Cause with Sean Connery, another flop. And then, she pretty much delivered the final blow to Home Alone 3, a movie so forgettable that the franchise never really recovered and went straight to video. Oh, and she also tried to land a role in Jumanji, but Kirsten Dunst snagged it instead. Now let's pause for a second. Imagine if Scarlett had actually been a bit older at the time and landed bigger roles in these movies. Maybe she would have peaked too soon. Maybe she would have been just another 90s actress who disappeared. But instead, she aged out of child roles right when the stars aligned in her favor. Enter Robert Redford, The Horse Whisperer, the film that changed everything. Scarlett knows all the jokes about her height, her voice, and even her posterior. She's even admitted she'd be perfect for a chain-smoking Hobbit role, if only that were a thing. But no such luck, so she had to carve out her path differently. And funnily enough, she wasn't even Robert Redford's first choice for The Horse Whisperer. Heck, she wasn't even his second choice. He wanted Natalie Portman, but she said, "Nah, I'm off to Broadway." Then he tried casting Kate Bosworth, who was down, until she also demanded another role in the movie. Redford agreed because, hey, at least she could actually ride horses. Only then, finally, did they turn to Scarlett. She was technically a little younger than they wanted, but she owned that audition. And boom, she got the part. Good call. The movie had a $60 million budget and grossed $186 million, landing Oscar and Golden Globe nominations. And Hollywood? Oh, they took notice. Suddenly, Scarlett was getting bigger offers. Not for blockbusters yet, more like My Brother the Pig, yeah, seriously. But people were starting to single her out, calling her talented, and her career was inching forward. Then came Ghost World, and once again, fate stepped in. The movie was originally supposed to star Thora Birch and Christina Ricci, but Ricci bailed at the last minute, Birch took her spot, and the studio needed a new actress fast. Guess who was available? Scarlett. The movie tanked at the box office, $8 million against a $40 million budget, but once again, it picked up Oscar and Golden Globe nominations. And just like that, Ghost World started building a cult following in the US. Meanwhile, Scarlett slipped into another interesting project, The Man Who Wasn't There by the Coen brothers. Now, the movie didn't exactly crush it at the box office, but as with most Coen films, the critics absolutely ate it up. Award nominations rolled in, the cast got showered with praise, and yes, people started noticing Scarlett, who, by the way, was just 17 at the time. Then came her first real disastrous flop in 2002, Eight-Legged Freaks. This was supposed to be another big-budget franchise, produced by Roland Emmerich, but nope. The critics ripped it apart, audiences weren't impressed, and whatever sequel they had in mind, scrapped. Just another forgotten B-movie. But here's the thing. Scarlett had already lined up 2 projects that would change everything. The $10 million indie girl with a pearl earring and the $4 million film that made her a star, Lost in Translation. Now, Lost in Translation, where do we even start? This was the first time Scarlett was asked to showcase her acting skills in sheer underwear on camera. She flat out refused until director Sofia Coppola literally filmed herself in the same underwear to convince her. Oh, and let's not forget, Scarlett was 17 years old during filming. Different times, I guess, people just shrugged it off. But hey, it worked. Lost in Translation turned that tiny $4 million budget into $118 million worldwide. The awards flooded in. Oscars, Golden Globes, you name it. Scarlett herself got a Golden Globe nomination, and just like that, she went from up and coming to officially Hollywood's next big thing. And then, as if she had some kind of cosmic luck, Scarlett landed Girl with a Pearl Earring. Why? Because Kate Hudson dropped out. She had creative differences with the director, something about not wanting to wear the rags they were dressing her in. So Scarlett swooped in, despite being 5 years younger than the character. But at that point, she had a habit of playing older roles, so nobody batted an eye. The movie didn't explode like Lost in Translation, but it still made a solid $32 million off a $10 million budget. Now, for the next couple of years, Scarlett mostly played supporting roles. Some of those movies, like The Perfect Score, flopped. Others, like In Good Company, did surprisingly well. Then came 2005, a brutal year. 3 major releases: The Black Dahlia, The Island, and Matchpoint. And to make those movies, Scarlett walked away from Mission Impossible 3 and Superman Returns. She actually wanted to do Mission Impossible, but that project was a total mess. It kept changing hands, morphing into completely different versions of itself. At one point, even David Fincher was supposed to direct, but classic Fincher, he wanted to make something totally different and couldn't really explain what, so the studio let him go. By the time the 10th director came on board, Scarlett's role was barely recognizable, so she bailed. As for Superman Returns, she wasn't interested at all. And here's the funny part: her role in Superman Returns ended up going to Kate Bosworth. Yep, the same Kate Bosworth who had turned down The Horse Whisperer, letting Scarlett take that role instead. Hollywood, man. Full circle. So, The Black Dahlia. Scarlett ended up in this one thanks to her friendship with Josh Hartnett. Let's just say they were close in many ways back then. But here's the thing about Josh in those years. Box office bombs followed him everywhere. And The Black Dahlia? No exception. The studio kept delaying the release, cutting the movie to pieces, and when it finally hit theaters, a measly $49 million on a $50 million budget. Ouch. Scarlett took the hint. She ditched Josh real quick. Let him keep sinking on his own. Then there was The Island. Michael Bay. Big budget action. Explosions. Should have been a hit, right? Nope. Flopped. The one saving grace? Audiences actually liked it. But let's be real. What most people remember about The Island isn't the plot. It's the behind-the-scenes story of Scarlett trying to ditch her bra for one scene. Her argument? It looked ridiculous. She wanted to make it look good, but Michael Bay wasn't about to pick a fight with the studio over that. He knew the execs weren't gonna love that idea in a PG-13 movie. So yeah, the bra stayed. But then came her real save, Matchpoint. And once again, Scarlett wasn't even supposed to be in it. Originally, Woody Allen cast Kate Winslet in the role, but Winslet bailed at the last minute and suddenly Woody needed a replacement. At first, he wasn't even considering Scarlett, because, well, she's American, and the film was meant to have a very British feel. But hey, desperate times. Good thing too, because Matchpoint was a win. $85 million at the box office on a $15 million budget. Scarlett snagged another Golden Globe nomination, and Woody Allen, he was obsessed. So much so that he cast her again immediately in his next movie, Scoop. And guess what? That one crushed it too. $4 million budget, $40 million box office. Not bad for a movie that most people forget even existed. Now, let's talk about The Prestige. Some say Scarlett only landed that one by accident, or more specifically, by Josh Hartnett's accident. See, Christopher Nolan originally offered Hartnett Batman Begins. Josh turned it down, but he was interested in The Prestige instead. Nolan? Not amused. So Hartnett got booted from The Prestige too. And around that time, Scarlett, who was still dating him, got brought in instead. Accidental casting or not, The Prestige did just fine. Not a massive hit, but not a flop either. $110 million on a $40 million budget. And just like that, Scarlett kept leveling up. Right after The Prestige, Scarlett got herself into some pretty successful projects. The Nanny Diaries, The Other Boleyn Girl, and then came another hit with Woody Allen, Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona. This time around, Woody specifically wrote the script for Scarlett. And honestly, considering Woody isn't exactly known for making blockbuster films, and most of his projects get funded by independent investors, he must have been praying for Scarlett to keep working with him. Why? Because in just 4 years, she helped him land 3 box office hits. Vicky, Cristina, Barcelona, a solid $96 million on a $20 million budget. By the end of 2008, Scarlett had wrapped up an impressive streak of hits with the film The Spirit. Now here's an interesting turn. Frank Miller, the artist behind Sin City and 300, decided to take a shot at directing. He wanted to make The Spirit his big directorial debut. Scarlett, clearly inspired by the success of Sin City and 300, jumped in for one of the leading roles. Unfortunately, the $60 million film bombed hard. It only brought in $39 million at the box office. But it wasn't all bad news for Scarlett. She bounced back with a fun ensemble comedy, He's Just Not That Into You. That one performed pretty well, and at this point, one flop wasn't enough to take her down. But there was a lingering issue. Scarlett didn't have that one breakout smash hit, and she knew it. That's when she turned her attention to Marvel. To land that big gig, Scarlett even agreed to a significant pay cut. Previously, she was asking for around $2 million per film, but for her role in Iron Man 2, she signed on for just $400,000. And, surprise, Scarlett wasn't even in the original script. Everyone wanted Emily Blunt. There are different versions of why she didn't take the role. Emily herself would later say that she was ready to do it, but her contract for Gulliver's Travels got in the way. However, the original story was that Blunt simply wasn't interested in doing a comic book movie. And while that might sound strange, considering Gulliver's Travels, it actually makes sense when you look at her career at the time. In the same year, she had the lead female role in The Wolfman, which was a more significant part, and Gulliver was a big-budget film where she had more screen time than what Iron Man 2 was offering. So her reluctance to take on a comic book role doesn't seem all that weird. Back in 2010, comic book roles weren't as big of a draw. Rachel McAdams turned down Iron Man a year earlier, and Kate Bosworth's career sort of ended with Superman Returns in 2006. But Scarlett, she clung to that role like a lifeline. She hit the gym, spent countless hours working with her trainer, and even helped improve Black Widow's costume, which was initially so restrictive she could barely walk. Scarlett says she still had to suffer in the final version of the suit, but at least she could move in it. Iron Man 2 hit it big at the box office, and Scarlett's paycheck skyrocketed. For We Bought a Zoo, she made $4 million, and by the time The Avengers came around, she was asking for $6 million. The movie made $1.5 billion at the box office on a $220 million budget, a huge win for her. By the way, Scarlett almost had a major box office flop right alongside The Avengers. She was initially signed on for Total Recall, but had to back out because of the timing. The production of Total Recall got delayed, and when it became clear that her schedule would clash with The Avengers, she pulled out. So instead of Scarlett, Jessica Biel took over. And, well, that movie didn't exactly light up the box office. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Scarlett. She really wanted to be a part of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And after Natalie Portman passed on the role, Sony tried everything to convince director David Fincher to cast Scarlett. But Fincher turned her down. Not because she wasn't a great actress, but because he thought she was too cute for the role. He felt she didn't fit the darker, edgier character they were looking for. And just like that, Scarlett was out. After The Avengers, Scarlett Johansson was bombarded with offers. She became very selective about the projects she took on, choosing smaller films for the next couple of years. Not all of them were successful. Under the Skin, despite its modest budget, was a total flop. Hitchcock, with a $15 million budget, grossed only $27 million at the box office. The romantic drama Her, where Scarlett voiced the AI, did better, but still modestly. However, Don John's Addiction, which had a budget of $3 million, earned a respectable $40 million. Scarlett returned to big-budget films in 2014. That year, two major movies featuring her hit theaters, Lucy and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There were rumors that Luc Besson initially wanted Angelina Jolie for the lead role in Lucy, and even met with her several times. However, when Jolie turned it down, Besson denies these rumors and says that Scarlett was always the first choice for the film. The second actress reportedly considered was Milla Jovovich, who allegedly turned it down due to pregnancy. Lucy was released alongside Hercules, starring Dwayne Johnson, and Scarlett's film absolutely crushed it at the box office. Lucy took in $43 million on its opening day, while Hercules only managed $29 million. In the end, Lucy, with its $40 million budget, made a stunning $458 million globally. Meanwhile, The Winter Soldier grossed $714 million worldwide. For Avengers: Age of Ultron, Scarlett Johansson upped her asking price to $20 million. While the second Avengers movie made slightly less than the first, just under $1.5 billion, is still a huge success. However, due to its inflated budget, which was ballooned by production issues, the film didn't make as much profit as it may seem. The initial production budget was $305 million, but with the delays and problems on set, it eventually swelled to $495 million. Still, the movie's near $1.5 billion worldwide gross was a win. Before Captain America: Civil War in 2016, for which she earned $25 million, Scarlett made a brief appearance in the Coen brothers' Hail Caesar. While the film is considered a failure for the Coens, Its $22 million budget was recouped, as it made $63 million. In 2017, Scarlett took on a role in Ghost in the Shell, earning $10 million for the project. Unfortunately, the film underperformed. Taking into account a $110 million budget, the film only earned $169 million at the global box office. If we overlook a few small-budget flops like Under the Skin, Ghost in the Shell became Scarlett's first major misstep in nearly a decade of successful films. Following Jojo Rabbit, Scarlett Johansson had a strong year, though she faced a mix of challenges. Her film Rough Night, a comedy, made a modest $49 million at the box office against a $20 million budget, so it wasn't a major flop, but also wasn't a standout hit. For Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame, Scarlett earned a whopping $35 million, as the films were shot back-to-back and were treated as one project for her salary. Jojo Rabbit did particularly well in theaters, and Scarlett received her first Academy Award nomination for her role. This was a significant achievement in her career, marking her as a serious contender for major acting honors. In the same year, she starred in Marriage Story, a Netflix film that had a limited theatrical release for awards consideration. It was another project that helped solidify her place as an actress with major prestige, while also benefiting from the Oscar campaign for awards season recognition. Her next high-profile project was Black Widow, where she was paid $20 million. The film's performance was disappointing, grossing only $379 million against a $200 million budget. The film's release, delayed by a year due to the pandemic, came at a time when theaters were just beginning to reopen and audiences were hesitant to return. On top of that, the movie was released on Disney Plus simultaneously, for a premium price, which contributed to its lower-than-expected box office. The simultaneous release led to a legal battle between Scarlett and Disney. She claimed that releasing Black Widow on Disney Plus had cost her significant bonuses, as the studio's decision was believed to have reduced the box office earnings. After a long dispute, Scarlett was paid $40 million to settle the matter, bringing her total earnings from Black Widow to at least $60 million, including the base salary and bonuses. Although Black Widow was viewed as a commercial disappointment, the actress was able to secure a substantial payout, and the film became a lucrative project for her despite the less-than-expected box office performance. It sounds like Scarlett Johansson's career has really evolved and adapted over the years, and she's now firmly established as one of the highest-paid and most in-demand actresses in Hollywood. From her early days as a rising star to navigating the ups and downs of her career, Scarlett has certainly made her mark with major successes like Avengers and Lucy, as well as critically acclaimed roles such as Jojo Rabbit and Marriage Story. Her recent projects like Black Widow and Show Me the Moon reflect her ongoing relevance and her ability to navigate changing film markets, especially with the rise of streaming services. With her age and experience, it seems like she's in a great position to continue making impactful films for years to come. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps us out and ensures you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Your support means a lot, and we appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for watching.